Before I get into demonstrating the roller, I want to just talk to you about the three possible reasons that I think I received or I got relief from using this in the brachial muscles. The first one is neurological. You have a brachial plexus nerve that runs from your neck through your shoulder down to the fingertips in your hands. If any muscle in that kinetic chain gets impinged, it can create neurological impingement and thus shutting down power production. So I believe that there's a possibility that the brachialis muscles was impinging that nerve and not creating full freedom for power. The second option is understanding the anatomy of the brachialis and how it functions. It attaches on your humerus, and then it attaches also on your ulna, which is the bone running down to your pinky. And in the function of the brachialis is to flex your forearm. So you can see from the side, doing this, there's not much difference when I use a dumbbell and I come in like that. There's a flexion in the forearm and there's an extension in the forearm. So if that muscle there is restricted in any way, it can reduce shoulder power, pressing power. The third reason that I think, and probably the most important reason for why the roller worked, was its freedom in releasing fascia. So if you think of an apple in terms of having fruit and the skin being the fascia, it's the same thing with our bodies, where we have fibers that produce filaments that can slide over each other, which is like the fruit of the apple, but the skin is like the fascia the fascia is like the skin of the apple. So it doesn't matter how supple and the range of motion availability of the fruit or the muscle, if the skin is tight, it can no longer receive full length and full contractile power. So when I would use the roller, it relieved the superficial fascial layers and created freedom of movement. And also, we know that fascia is not individualized; it's all interconnected. So if I had fascia that was loose in my pectoralis major and in my deltoids and my triceps, but the fascia in the bicep and the brachialis was impinged and facilitated, you would have no chance of having that full kinetic chain work to your advantage in a power movement. So I think those are the three reasons why the travel roller really created that range of motion and power production. I'm now going to demonstrate how to roll. So the first thing you have to establish when you're going to roll the brachialis is where is it? And it lies between the bicep and tricep. It can come all the way up to just underneath the deltoid. So it's quite high up here, but most of the time the biggest trigger point is going to be closer to the elbow joint down here. So it's about a 3 to 4 or 5 inch muscle depending on the size of your arm, and it's all through here. So in order to get that, I found the most effective way is to lay on your stomach and place the palm of your hand towards your stomach and the back of your hand towards the floor. That opens up the brachialis to be exposed to the roller. I start down near the elbow joint, and then I just roll with my body weight as a weapon. I roll down to the deltoid. And then I roll back. And then again I roll again. And I might change the angle by externally rotating my shoulder and internally rotating my shoulder back and forth over the roller as I roll back and forth. And if you have a lot of courage and have a high crane threshold, you can hold a trigger point just for time. So I'll find the trigger point. The trigger point, being the most tender part of the muscle, often refers pain down your arm. This will be very, very typical muscle. This brachialis will often cause numbing hands and be mistaken for carpal tunnel syndrome. So right now, actually, I can feel my pinky going numb while I'm rolling that brachialis. So again, if you're even scheduled for carpal tunnel surgery, don't get that done until you have the brachialis bicep rotator cuff cleaned out. And that's how well I roll those tissues. So good luck. If you have any questions, you can talk to Adam.